What's up, y'all? It's your girl Bri. Miss Bend Over, take all that dick, turn around, bend over, take all that shit. AKA Miss Uchi Wally Ho, I got that bang bang. AKA the biggest, the baddest, the messiest. What happened?
Okay.
I can't do this. I can't.
Pain screams from callers begging for help. Miramar police say it happened after this drive-by shooting Sunday morning that killed 21-year-old Brianna Johnson, known on social media as DreamDoll Bri.
A bright green Lamborghini blows through a stop sign at 5:30 in the morning and slams into someone's front yard. Inside, 3 people, all of them shot. One of them won't make it. Days later, another one won't make it either. And by the end of this video, you'll find out those 2 were cousins, raised like siblings, killed within days of each other after a fight at a gas station that probably felt like nothing at the time. Let's get into it. Before we go further, if you're new here, hit subscribe and tap that bell icon, because if you don't, you're going to miss the next case. And trust me, you don't want to miss these. This is Crime Files, and today we're talking about DreamDoll Bri. Brianna Johnson was 21 years old. And if you spent any time on TikTok or Instagram in the last year or two, there's a real chance you scrolled past her without even realizing it. She went by DreamDoll Bri, sometimes It Girl Bri, and she had built the kind of online life a lot of young people dream about. Fashion content, beauty content, travel posts, party videos. She wasn't just posting for likes either. She was actually living it, hosting parties around South Florida, being the person other people wanted to be around. She even had a foot in music. Her voice showed up on a track called Bend Over by rapper Sadie Racks, and that song ended up going viral as a TikTok sound, the kind of sound you'd hear on 100 different videos without even knowing where it came from. She'd also been credited on another song the year before, alongside another artist. So this wasn't some random girl posting selfies. She was building something. Nearly 500,000 people across her platforms were watching her life unfold in real time. And that's what makes this so heavy, because we can actually see her last hours. Just before the shooting, Brianna posted an Instagram story. It's not dark, it's not ominous, it's just normal. A parking lot get together, a bunch of cars gathered up, someone hanging out a window throwing money into the air, people her age just having a good time. Then a second part of that story shows her sitting inside a car with a really nice interior, and she wrote something like she'd had this for a while, to check her old MySpace, that she'd been turned up long before any of this. It's such a normal thing to post. It's the kind of story any of us could put up on a random weekend. Except this one turned out to be one of the last things she ever shared. Because after that party, Brianna and 2 of the men she was with didn't go straight home. They made a stop. And that stop is where things started to go wrong. Family members later told reporters that the group pulled up to a Shell gas station, and while they were there, a fight broke out. We don't know yet exactly who was involved or what it was about. What we do know is that about an hour after that altercation, gunfire erupted on a quiet residential street in Miramar, Florida, and Brianna Johnson would not survive it. Let's slow down for a second, though, because I want you to really picture this. It's the 4th of July weekend. Most people are winding down, sleeping off the holiday, maybe still up from a late night out. And in the middle of all that, on Sunshine Boulevard, 3 people are riding in a bright, fluorescent green Lamborghini Urus. It's early, around 5:30 in the morning, and then, out of nowhere, a white sedan pulls up right alongside the driver's side. Investigators say what happened next took only seconds. The white sedan matched pace with a Lamborghini and opened fire, striking all 3 occupants inside. Neighbors who were asleep at the time say they heard what sounded like rapid gunfire, several shots close together, and one woman later told a reporter her mother heard it too and thought at first it might just be leftover fireworks from the holiday. That's how normal it sounded in the moment, just noise in the night. Nobody realized right away that 3 people were fighting for their lives less than a block from their front door. The Lamborghini didn't stop right away. It kept moving, roughly a block, before it ran through a stop sign and crashed into the front yard of a nearby home. Investigators said the crash was caught on a Ring doorbell camera, and that footage ended up circulating online afterward. Thankfully, nobody inside the house was hurt. But think about being the homeowner. You're asleep, and a car full of gunshot victims comes crashing onto your property in the pre-dawn hours. That's the kind of moment that stays with a neighborhood. Police were already on their way because of the city's shot spotter system, which detects gunfire in real time. When officers and paramedics arrived, they found all 3 victims critically injured. All 3 were rushed to Memorial Regional Hospital in Hollywood. Brianna, unfortunately, did not survive. The 2 men with her were listed in critical condition, and then came the 911 calls. TMZ later obtained the audio, and it is hard to listen to. In one call, a man is heard screaming over and over, "Please help me, please help me, please, please," while a woman cries in the background. In another call, a different caller, a nearby resident, is telling the dispatcher there's a fight, there's chaos, and begging for police and an ambulance to hurry. These are the raw, unfiltered sounds of a community in the middle of a tragedy nobody saw coming. Miramar's police chief, Delrius Moss, spoke publicly about it not long after. He said it was no way for anyone to wake up on a Sunday morning, that hearing multiple gunshots in the early hours is disturbing no matter who you are. But here's the part that really stuck with a lot of people watching this unfold. He said that investigators didn't believe the neighborhood itself was in danger, that this wasn't some random spray of bullets into a community. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that whoever did this specifically targeted that car, not the block, not the neighborhood. That car, which brings us to the twist that changed this whole case. Just 2 days after the shooting, Miramar police confirmed something absolutely devastating. The second victim, one of the 2 men who had been fighting for his life in the hospital, had died from his injuries, and when his identity was released, it added a whole new layer of heartbreak to this story. That victim was Arthur Lee Johnson III, known to family as AJ. And AJ wasn't just some friend or acquaintance riding along that night. AJ was Brianna's cousin. Family members said the 2 of them had basically been raised like siblings. Can you imagine that? 2 people who grew up together, who were basically family in every sense of the word, killed together in the same car, in the same act of violence, days apart from each other but connected by the exact same moment. A.J.'s father, Arthur Johnson II, spoke out publicly after his son's death, and he wanted to make something very clear. He said he raised those kids, and they weren't troublemakers. He was pushing back hard against rumors that started spreading online. Rumors suggesting his son might have had some kind of gang affiliation, that maybe this was retaliation for something. He shut that down directly, defending his son's character while grieving him at the same time. So now we have 2 young people dead, Brianna and her cousin AJ. A 3rd victim survived, though he didn't walk away unscathed either. He ended up needing his jaw wired shut from his injuries. And here's where the case stands right now. Detectives believe this was targeted, but they still don't have a confirmed motive. They're looking closely at that fight at the gas station, trying to figure out if it's connected to the shooting that happened about an hour later, or if it's just a strange coincidence, sitting right in the middle of this timeline. Investigators have said the group's night included a mansion party at an Airbnb, a nightclub stop, and 2 separate gas station stops before everything ended in gunfire. They're combing through surveillance footage from homes and businesses in the area. They're checking license plate reader data, trying to trace the movements of that white sedan, which some reports describe as a white or even dark pink 4-door BMW. And once the surviving passenger is medically able, investigators plan to sit down with him directly, because he may be the one person who actually knows what happened in those final moments before the shots were fired. As of right now, there have been no arrests, no named suspects. The person or people responsible are still out there, and Miramar police are asking anyone with information come forward, offering a reward of up to $5,000 for tips that lead to an arrest. So let's sit with this for a second, because I think this case brings up some real questions. Why does a disagreement at a gas station, something that probably felt small in the moment, sometimes end up being the spark that leads to something this catastrophic? How often does anger in public, the kind we've all seen or maybe even been part of, carry consequences that go so far beyond what anyone intended? And what does it mean when a chief of police stands up and says, "We don't think the neighborhood was in danger. They simply wanted that car"? What does it take for a person to decide that violence, real violence, is the answer to a dispute that started somewhere as ordinary as a gas station pump? I want to know what you think. Do you think this was connected to that fight at the gas station? Or do you think something else was going on entirely? Something that had nothing to do with that argument at all? Drop your theory in the comments. I read every single one. And if this case has you thinking, if it's got you asking questions the way it's got me asking questions, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Tap the bell so you don't miss when we update you on this case. And share this video with someone who needs to hear Brianna and AJ's story. Their case is still open. Someone out there knows what happened on Sunshine Boulevard that morning. Until next time, this has been Crime Files.